This is psychological Aikido. And if someone tries to gaslight you, guilt you, or emotionally blackmail you right now, you're not going to fight back. You're not going to explain yourself. You're not going to beg for basic respect. You're going to use their momentum against them. By the end of this video, I'm giving you a 3-move sequence that shuts down manipulation in under 60 seconds. Real scenarios. Exact words. No therapy talk. And here's your challenge. Use it once in the next 24 hours. Then tell me if you felt the power shift. Because if it fails completely, you can call this entire system fake. Exit. But here's what I need you to ask yourself right now. Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, how did I end up apologizing when I did nothing wrong? If yes, keep watching. Because that feeling, it has a name. And once you see the pattern, you can never be trapped by it again. Most manipulation doesn't look like an attack. It looks like a normal conversation, a reasonable disagreement, a little emotional moment, until suddenly you're defending your memory, your intentions, your sanity, and you don't even know how you got there. Let me paint the scene. You bring up something small, a broken promise, a disrespectful comment, something that hurt you, and instead of addressing what you said, they address you, "You're too sensitive. That never happened. You're imagining things. Why are you always like this?" And now the topic isn't the issue anymore. The topic is your credibility, your emotional stability, your worthiness of being heard. You didn't start a fight, but somehow you're in one, and you're losing. Asterisk, asterisk, here's the question nobody asks. Why does resistance feel so exhausting? Because traditional resistance creates friction, and friction is exactly what a manipulator wants. It proves you're emotionally invested. It gives them leverage. It hands them the weapon. Every time you defend yourself, you're playing their game on their board, with their rules. If you've ever been pulled into an argument where you ended up apologizing for being upset, comment the word pulled. Not for me, for you. So you start recognizing the pattern. Asterisk, asterisk, now here's the controversial truth most self-help advice won't tell you. Just ignore them doesn't work. Set boundaries is incomplete. Stand your ground often makes it worse. Why? Because those strategies assume you're in a fair fight. You're not. I'm in a cognitive trap designed to make you doubt yourself while keeping the other person in control. And here's the thing that will sound wrong at first. Asterisk, asterisk, the right response isn't louder. It's not angrier. It's not more logical. It's calmer. And that calm is tactical. Let me show you what I mean. When someone tries to control you, they're not just trying to win the conversation. They're targeting 3 specific things: your perception of reality, your emotional state, and your permission to say no. Perception, emotion, permission. Control those 3, and they control you. Asterisk, asterisk, here's the hinge question. What if you could become uncontrollable not by fighting harder, but by removing the handles they're grabbing? Asterisk, asterisk, that's what psychological Aikido is. It's not a metaphor. It's system. In physical Aikido, you don't block a punch. You blend with the attacker's energy, redirect their momentum, and use their force to destabilize them. No collision, no contest of strength, just position and timing. In conversation, it works the same way. But before I show you how, you need to see what you're actually up against. Manipulators don't attack your logic. They attack your vulnerabilities. And they hunt for 4 specific things: fear, desire, ego, and guilt. Not because they're inherently evil, not because they planned it in advance, but because it works. And because most people never learn to defend those 4 doors. Let me break this down. Asterisk, asterisk, fear, leverage. Asterisk, asterisk, if you don't do this, you'll lose me. If you keep acting like this, no one will want you. You're making a huge mistake. Notice what happens in your body when you hear that. Your chest tightens, Your breathing changes. You feel urgency. You feel threat. And suddenly you're making decisions from panic, not clarity. Asterisk, asterisk, desire leverage. Asterisk, asterisk, if you really cared about me, you'd do this. I thought you wanted us to be happy. This is what people who love each other do. Now it's not about the request. It's about your identity. Are you a good person? Do you care? Can you prove it? Asterisk, asterisk, ego, leverage. Asterisk, asterisk, I expected better from you. You're smarter than this. Everyone else understands except you. This one's subtle. It feels like disappointment, like you've failed some invisible standard. And most people will scramble to restore the other person's approval. Asterisk, asterisk, guilt leverage. Asterisk, asterisk, after everything I've done for you, I sacrificed so much. You owe me this. The past becomes a debt, and they're the creditor. Asterisk, asterisk, now here's what you need to understand. Asterisk, asterisk, the topic always changes, but the feeling stays the same. Pressure. One conversation, it's about plans. Next time it's about money. Then it's about your tone, your friends, your choices. But every single time you feel cornered, pushed, tested. Asterisk, asterisk, if you felt that pressure, that sense of walking on eggshells around someone, comment the word pressure, because naming it breaks half its power. Asterisk, asterisk, but manipulators don't just use emotion. They use cognitive biases, mental shortcuts your brain takes that can be weaponized. Let me give you 3. Asterisk, asterisk, the consistency trap. Asterisk, asterisk, once you say yes to something small, your brain wants to stay consistent, so they get you to agree to a tiny thing first. Then they escalate, and now you feel like backing out makes you a liar. Asterisk, asterisk, the authority bias. Asterisk, asterisk, confidence feels like truth, so they speak with certainty, even when they're wrong. And your brain interprets their conviction as evidence. Asterisk, asterisk, loss, aversion. Asterisk, asterisk, your brain fears losing something more than it values gaining something. So you'll lose me hits harder than you'll gain peace. Here S the question that breaks most people. Why does guilt work even when you know it? S manipulation. B. Because guilt bypasses logic. It's a feeling first. An instinct. By the time your rational mind catches up, you've already apologized. And then there's framing. Manipulators don't argue facts. They argue frames. If you loved me, you would do this. Now it's not a request. It's a test of your identity. The frame is, people who love do X. You didn't do X, therefore, you don't love. The original issue, whether the request was reasonably, is gone. Now you're defending your character. Asterisk, asterisk, if you've ever heard. If you cared, you'd just do it. Comment the word frame. Asterisk, asterisk, and here's where most people lose. They try to argue within the frame. I do care. That's not fair. But you're still inside their reality. You're still playing defense. Asterisk, asterisk, the Aikido principle is this. You don't collide with the frame. You redirect it, asterisk, asterisk, and that's what I'm about to show you. Let's get tactical. There are 3 core principles in Psychological Aikido, and once you understand them, you see how every manipulative conversation follows the same pattern and how you can exit that pattern without fighting. Principle 1. Blend. Blending is not agreeing. It's removing friction. When someone attacks, your instinct is to block, to defend, to correct. But every time you do that, you create resistance. And resistance gives them something to push against. Blending removes the wall. Here's what it looks like. They say, "You're overreacting." Most people respond, "No, I'm not. You always dismiss my feelings." That's collision. Now you're arguing about who's right. Aikido responds, "It makes sense you'd see it that way. Did you feel that?" No argument, no defense. The attack hits air. You didn't agree that you're overreacting. You acknowledged their perspective exists. That's all. And here's the magic. When you don't resist, they lose their leverage. There's nothing to grab onto. But blending alone isn't enough. Because if you just absorb everything, you're not defending yourself, you're surrendering. That's where the second principle comes in. Principle to enter and turn. Once you've blended, you pivot. You shift the frame. You ask a question that exposes the agenda. Let's use the same scenario. They say, you're overreacting. You blend. It makes sense you'd see it that way. Then you turn. What would help you take my concern seriously? Watch what just happened. You didn't defend your reaction. You didn't argue about definitions. You asked them to solve the problem they created. Now they're the one who has to explain themselves. Asterisk, asterisk, here's another turn. Asterisk, asterisk, what outcome are you hoping for right now? Or, what do you need me to believe? These questions are calm, curious, non-aggressive. But they force the manipulator to state their goal out loud. And most of the time they can't because the goal was control, not resolution. If you've ever wanted exact words to say in the moment, stay with me because we're about to go through live scenarios with all three moves. But first, the third principle. Principle 3. Control the center. In Aikido, controlling the center means you dictate position, distance, and engagement. You're not running away. You're not surrendering. But you're also not letting them set the terms. In conversation, this is your boundary plus your exit. They say, you're overreacting. You blend. It makes sense you'd see it that way. You turn. What would help you take my concern seriously? They escalate. Nothing. You're just being dramatic. You center. I'm pausing this conversation until we can both stay respectful. Then you leave. Or you go silent. Or you redirect to a neutral topic. Here's the controversial part. Most people think leaving is weakness. It's not. It's strategy. Because manipulators need your presence to manipulate you. They need your reaction, your engagement, your emotional energy. When you remove it calmly, they lose the game. Now here's the mystique. Most people lose because they try to win the argument. Aikido doesn't win arguments. It wins position. You don't need them to admit they're wrong. You don't need closure. You don't need validation. You need control over your reality, your emotions, and your permission to say no. And that's what these three principles give you. Next, I'm walking you through 5 real scenarios. Each one gets the full Aikido sequence. Exact words, what they'll do next, how you lock it down. If you want this, don't skip ahead. Because the details matter. Let me show you how this works in real time. I'm giving you 5 scenarios. Each one is a different manipulation style. And each one gets broken down with the 3-move Aikido sequence. Blend, turn, center, stay close. Because these are the exact words you'll use. Scenario 1. Gaslighting, they say. That never happened. You're remembering it wrong. This is perception control. They're trying to make you doubt your memory, your sanity, your grip on reality. Most people respond with, yes, it did. I remember clearly. Now you're in a credibility war, and they'll never concede. Because conceding means losing control. Aikido response, blend okay. Just that. One word. No fight. Turn. What would you consider reliable proof that it happened? This is brilliant. Because now they have to define the standard. And whatever they say will either be impossible, which reveals the game more reasonable, which traps them into honoring it. They'll usually deflect. I don't need proof. I know it didn't happen. Center. Then we can't agree on reality. So this conversation pauses until we can. Then you leave or go silent, or change the subject. Here's what happens next. One of 3 things. They rage. They deflect to a new attack. Or they suddenly remember. Any of those responses reveals the manipulation. If gaslighting is your main issue, comment the word gaslight, because we can go deeper on this in another video. Scenario 2. Emotional blackmail, they say. If you don't do this, you don't love me. This is identity leverage. The frame is, love equals compliance, and if you refuse, you're proving you don't care. Most people panic and explain, I do love you, but I can't do that because ... you're defending your love, which means you've accepted their frame. Aikido response. Blend. I hear that this matters to you. You're acknowledging their feeling without agreeing to their demand. Turn. So love equals obedience. Calm, curious, not sarcastic. You're exposing the equation they're using. They'll backpedal or escalate. That's not what I said. Or you're twisting my words. Center. Then we're talking about control, not love. And I don't consent to that framing. Then pause. Let them adjust. If they keep pushing, you repeat the boundary or leave. Here's the key. You didn't argue about whether you love them. You redefined the terms of the conversation. Scenario 3. Guilt manipulation, they say. After everything I've done for you, you owe me this. This is debt framing. The past becomes currency, and they're demanding payment. Most people either comply out of guilt or defend with, I never asked you to do those things. Both responses keep you trapped. Aikido response. Blend. I appreciate what you've done. You're not denying their contribution. You're just not letting it become a debt. Turn. And my answer is still no. No explanation. No justification. Just a restatement of your boundary. They'll push, so you're just ungrateful. Or I can't believe you're being this selfish. Center. I'm not debating my decision. If you want to discuss something else, I'm here. Then redirect or exit. This is called the broken record technique. You calmly repeat your boundary without adding new information for them to attack. If guilt is your weak spot, comment guilt, because most people give in here, and you don't have to. Scenario 4. Urgency, pressure, they say. You need to decide right now. I can't wait anymore. This is time manipulation. They're creating artificial urgency to force a decision before you can think clearly. Most people either cave under pressure or argue about the timeline. Why do I have to decide now? Aikido response. Blend. I understand you want an answer. You're acknowledging their desire without submitting to their timeline. Turn. What happens if I take 24 hours to think? This question exposes whether the urgency is real or manufactured. If it's real, they'll explain. If it's fake, they'll deflect or threaten. They might say, then forget it. The offer's gone. Or you're just stalling. Center. I don't make decisions under pressure. We can talk when I'm ready. Then you remove yourself from the situation. Here's the truth. Real urgency can be explained. Fake urgency collapses under questions. Scenario 5. Silent treatment. They go cold. Stop talking. Withdraw affection. Make you feel their absence as punishment. Most people either beg for communication, please talk to me. What did I do? Or match the silence out of pride. Both reactions give them control. Aikido response. You don't chase. You don't punish back. You do this. Blend plus turn in one move. I notice you're quiet. When you're ready to talk, I'm here. Then you go about your life, normally, without performing your distress. If they break silence to attack, I was waiting for you to apologize. Center. I'm willing to have a conversation, but I'm not willing to guess what you want or chase you down. Boundary set. Ball in their court. If the silent treatment is your manipulation style, comment silent, because this one breaks people more than shouting ever does. Now here's what you need to understand across all 5 scenarios. The Aikido sequence works because it removes the emotional fuel manipulators need. You're not giving them anger. You're not giving them fear. You're not giving them the performance of guilt. You're calm, boundaried, and unmoved. And that more than anything else is what they can't handle. Tact. Next, I'm giving you the daily practices that make this instinctive, because knowing the moves isn't enough. You need them in your body, in your reflexes. Let me tell you something most people don't want to hear. You can learn every Aikido move, every deflection, every reframe, and still lose. Why, sir? Because manipulation doesn't just happen in the moment. It's built on patterns, on history, on the emotional hooks that were planted months or years ago. So if you want to be truly uncontrollable, you don't just need techniques. You need a mental fortress. Here's how you build it. Practice 1. The trigger audit. Sit down with a piece of paper or open a note on your phone and write down every phrase that makes your stomach drop. You're too sensitive. I'm disappointed in you. After all I've done, ... If you really cared, ... You're being selfish. Write them all down. The ones that make you want to defend yourself immediately. The ones that make you feel small. The ones that make you comply out of fear. Here's why this matters. Once you name your triggers, they lose half their power. Because now, when you hear one, you don't react. You recognize. Ah, that's the guilt lever. That's the identity attack. And recognition creates space. Space to breathe. Space to choose. If you just wrote down a trigger right now, or even thought of one comment, trigger, because awareness is the first defense. Practice 2. Permission discipline. Most people were taught that no needs a reason. I can't because I have plans. I can't because I'm too tired. I can't because it's not a good time. And every time you give a reason, you're handing the manipulator ammunition. So change your plans. You don't look tired. It's never a good time with you. Now you're defending your reason instead of honoring your boundary. Here's the discipline. Stop explaining your no. I'm not available. That doesn't work for me. I'm choosing not to. No justification. No apology. Just the boundary. And here's what will happen. People who respect you will accept it. People who don't will get angry. And that anger is information. Practice 3. Context control. Never discuss life-changing decisions when you're tired, emotional, or under pressure. Manipulators will wait for those moments. Because your defenses are down, your clarity is low, your need for relief is high. We need to talk about this right now. I can't keep waiting. Just give me an answer. The correct response. I hear you, and I'm not discussing this until I'm rested and clear. Then you enforce it, even if they escalate, even if they accuse you of stalling. Because here's the truth. If someone only wants your answer when you're weak, they don't want your real answer. They want compliance. Practice 4. Exit skill. Leaving is not weakness. Leaving is strategy. But most people don't know how to leave without drama, without guilt, without a fight. So here's the script. I'm stepping away from this conversation now. Not I'm done with you. Not you're making me. Leave. Just I'm stepping away. Then you do it. You hang up. You leave the room. You stop responding. And if they follow you, you say it once more. I said I'm stepping away. I mean it. Then you enforce it. Lock the door if you have to. Block the number temporarily. Go to another location. Because every time you let someone violate your exit, you teach them that your boundaries are negotiable. Now here's what ties all 4 practices together. Manipulators fear one thing above all else. Not your anger, not your logic, not even your resistance. They fear a person who doesn't react, because reaction is the handle. It's the proof they still have power. It's the opening. And when you remove it calmly, consistently, without performance, they have nowhere to go. Next, the 3-move sequence one more time, crystallized, plus your 24-hour challenge. Let me bring this home. You've seen the principles. You've seen the scenarios. You've seen the daily practices. Now here's the 3-move psychological Aikido sequence one last time. Clean, simple, ready to use. Move 1. Blend, remove friction. Acknowledge without agreeing. I hear you. It makes sense you'd see it that way. I understand this matters to you. No defense. No counterattack. Just air. Move 2. Turn, shift the frame. Ask the question that exposes agenda. What do you want me to believe right now? What outcome are you hoping for? What would help you take this seriously? Calm, curious, non-aggressive, but strategic. Move 3. Center state, your boundary. Control the engagement. I'm not discussing this under pressure. We pause this until it's respectful. My answer is no, and I'm not debating it. Then you enforce. You leave. You go silent. You redirect. That's it. 3 moves. Blend. Turn. Center. And now here's your challenge. In the next 24 hours, you're going to encounter manipulation. Maybe not extreme. Maybe just a guilt trip from a coworker. A pressure tactic from a friend. A dismissive comment from family. When it happens, use the sequence. Exactly as I showed you. Then come back to this video and comment one of 2 things. Aikido worked if you felt a power shift, if you stayed calm, if you regained control without a fight, or IT escalated if the other person got angry, if they pushed harder, if they accused you of being cold or cruel or difficult. And here's the thing. If it escalated, that's not failure. That's proof. Proof that you removed their control. Proof that they no longer have the handles they used to grab. Proof that you're no longer movable. Because people who respect your boundaries don't escalate when you set them. Only people who are relying on your compliance do. So escalation isn't the system failing. It's the system revealing who you're actually dealing with. And once you see that clearly, you can make real decisions. Stay or leave. Engage or exit. Forgive or protect yourself. But you'll make those decisions from power, not from confusion, not from guilt, not from the fog of someone else's reality. Let me leave you with this. You're not learning mind games to harm people. You're not learning manipulation to become a manipulator. You're learning to stop being moved, to stop apologizing for things you didn't do, to stop defending your sanity, to stop giving away your clarity, your peace, your permission to say no. And the moment you stop being moved, you stop being controlled. That's psychological Aikido. Now go use it. And tell me what happens.